It's the War Report.
That was interesting.
Oh wow, yeah, that just stopped, didn't it?
It definitely just stopped.
And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry, hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen.
Yeah. So that doesn't want to work. So this is a botch.
Now for every update, it's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats. No chance. That's what you got. Up against a machine too strong. Pretty politicians buying souls for runs on.
Vince's face says it all.
Won't find their place in line.
I feel like
Okay.
I knew this
Never
show
made
was
more
coming.
sense than they do right now.
It's just a matter of time. 'Cause you've got no chance.
So I want to say something. Welcome to the War Report podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be like a popular opinion, not so popular opinion. I don't know. But as far as the whole Vince McMahon thing, quite frankly, I don't think it's any of our fucking business. It should have never been leaked in the first place. Yes, he's a scumbag, but he did nothing illegal that we know of. If he used company money to make that $3 million payoff, that's another story. But if he made it out of his own pocket and she agreed to it, whoever she is, he did nothing illegal. It just makes him kind of a scumbag. But he's also Vince McMahon. We kind of knew that. So I just think that in the end, with all this, Vince McMahon is going nowhere. These quick little appearances on SmackDown and Raw, it's to pound his chest and say, nothing, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to be together forever kind of deal. Although what's very noticeable is he's having a really hard time getting in and out of the ring. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, here's the couple things that are kind of weird about it. One is that there's a report in the report from the Wall Street Journal. It wasn't just that there was one NDA that was signed. It ended up that there are potentially multiple, both office workers and talent that signed NDAs because they had relationships with Vince McMahon. Which is kind of not a good. So, and it's not necessarily a legality thing. It's because, according to company policy, which is then dictated by human resources and violations are investigated by human resources. One of the journalists online who one of the wrestling journalists, I think it was Sean Ross Sapp, posted an excerpt from it that the company policy specifically states something about, interoffice relationships or whatever. The wording of it didn't, from an HR perspective, didn't sound favorable. Now, again, this is Vince McMahon. This is a guy who's been in the company however long. He's got a lot of tenure. Probably nothing happens to him, but it's just weird, man. Like, I think it's so gross that people are cheering and bowing to the guy and then they're coming online and they're just being real rah about it. That's kind of gross. That's turning me off even watching Raw or SmackDown, just the kind of nonchalant response to it. And I think the other thing is that there's been 30 or 40 years of Vince McMahon getting away with literally covering up a murder, being accused of sexual assault by a female referee, being accused of sexual assault by a waitress at a country club, the steroid scandal. I mean, there's all kinds of, whatever it is, it just seems. Yes, we already knew that the guy is kind of a scumbag because first of all, he's a wrestling promoter, and second of all, he's been a public figure for 40 years or 50 years, since the late 70s. He's been a public figure in terms of being like an announcer and stuff, and then later in the 80s becoming the owner, and then in the 90s being revealed as the owner. He's been a public figure, so we understand that there's a history of it. And that's kind of a bubble of wrestling fans, and we're like, yeah, of course everybody knows. Nobody in wrestling is shocked that this happened.
Right.
It's more that now in 2022, where we have the Me Too movement and all that stuff, outsiders, when they hear about this in different industries,
Yeah, but wait a minute.
in.
But let's talk about Me Too for a minute, okay?
There we go. We're gonna get complaints now.
Well, here's the thing.
This has nothing to do with Me Too.
Thank you. Well, that's what I was about to say.
I'm not saying it.
This isn't a Me Too situation because it's not like she's accusing him. She fucked him, whoever she is, and took a $3 million settlement to keep her mouth shut. She was obviously okay with it. She's probably, if you should feel for anybody right now, it's for this woman who probably didn't want this to get out in the first place. And even though we don't know who she is, there are people out there who know who she is. You know what I mean? Right. But I don't, this is not a Me Too thing.
This is the thing, though. I'm sorry if I can interject, guys, that is making this such a big thing for it at the moment. It's because when this happened X amount of years ago, whoever she is, we all know, we're not going to give out names because we all know who the rumors are, but we don't know for sure. Exactly. This is before the WWE was a publicly traded company. This is all boiling down to one thing. It's to make the stockholders happy, to make Fox News, Fox 5 happy, USA, because if they're going to be affiliated with these scandals in 2022, that's why this is happening. Not the fact that Vince McMahon has always been the sleaze that he always been. We all know he's the freaking genetic jackhammer.
It's the board. So the board,
exactly.
That's the weird thing is the board itself, the executive board of WWE, which includes outsiders like Erica Nardini, who's one of the CEO of Barstool Sports. There's like 8 or 10 people on this executive board. And they've been made aware of this long before we were, probably as early as March or April.
But now there's 5 investigations as of today.
So according to the internet reports, there are 5 law firms investigating what's going on within WWE. Some of them are representing one of the law firms is representing the board itself, as an independent investigator. I think the other 4 are representing what would effectively boil down to class actions by various groups of stockholders, because you can be like, there's one group that heavily invested in WWE and filed a lawsuit against them last year because they claim that the Saudi Arabia thing where all the superstars got stuck on the runway and caused the stock price to crash in the week after. So there's and they all belong to like a union or something, and when they paid their pension, put in their pensions or put in their union dues, all that got dispersed and invested into various stocks, and one of them happened to be WWE. So there are other unions and other collectives of. He's got caught laying the smack that he sure did. He took her to the Jabroni Drive and later in the SmackDown Hotel or whatever it was. But
it was Jabroni Drive on SmackDown. No,
I'm thinking of Shawn Michaels' Heartbreak Hotel, to be honest.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's Grandmaster on YouTube. We appreciate the comment and the interaction, man. Thank you for joining us.
Grandmaster Sexy.
Yeah, right. If that was him, I'd be really shocked. Banging it.
Doing it.
Yeah, that would be okay. Now, if somebody comes forward and was like, he only fucks to Jim Johnston entrance music.
Oh my God! Can you
know what I mean? They're like, Ultimate Warrior night was the worst. He'd fucking shake the bedpost. And he comes in, he's like, honey, guess who I am tonight? And she's like, oh God, who is it? She's like, $3 million isn't enough. Who is it, Vince? And he hits me, dun, 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 dun. He goes, the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, as long as it's not Steven Regal's He's a Man, and it's not Billy Gunn's Ass Man, I think we're okay.
If Vince McMahon walking into the bedroom with a yellow hard hat a plaid shirt and no pants. He's a man. Such a man.
Oh wait, what about Chuck and Billy?
Has a chainsaw on it.
You look so good to me.
Oh,
He's
geez.
wearing the headband and it just says Vinny on the front. He's like, Billy and Chuck gave it to me. I think it looks good. I dance pretty well for a white man. Things Vince McMahon has actually said for 1,000, Alex. I dance
And he
pretty well
breaks
for a white
into
man.
the stand back.
Stand back.
There's a hurricane
God.
coming through.
But yeah, so it's listen in terms of big deals. Yeah, it's not. It is not a situation where he forced himself on somebody. This is a consensual relationship. The real bugaboo is not. It's not going to boil down to him doing any jail time. It may boil down to him stepping away as the CEO, as Stephanie is now the interim CEO. She may become the permanent CEO as a public relations thing. Vince McMahon right now, even though he stepped down as CEO, is still head of creative and obviously is still being allowed to perform on television as an active.
Falling
Unbelievable. Yeah, he could have blown out his quads again, but it's really just more of they're going this law firm, the initial law firm that is acting on behalf of the board of directors of WWE is going to investigate the situation to see if there were any human resources violations that will result in a suspension or a termination of Vince McMahon's position. Again, there's a lot. If you're an old white man in America, you get away with, especially if you got a lot of money, you get away with a lot. So don't know what's going to happen with it, but it's more of, it's now in the hands of these attorneys who are going to be taking depositions and taking interviews and scouring over emails and text messages, I'm sure, to determine if there was any kind of violation. And because
this is going to be just as good as the Johnny Depp trial.
Well, we thought that there was the thing where Oliver Luck was the commissioner of the XFL, and he was suing Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon fired him from his XFL position in order to try and get out of paying him $24 million, which was it wasn't guaranteed by the XFL. It was personally guaranteed by Vince McMahon. So when the XFL went bankrupt, he couldn't claim the $24 million as part of the bankruptcy. So Oliver Luck is suing him for it. They went to some kind of arbitration, and it lasted like an hour or something. And then they said, we're going to go to trial. And then over the last couple days, Vince settled it private. Like they didn't disclose it. They just came out with a statement saying Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck have settled their lawsuit for an undisclosed sum of money. And there we go. So I think he wasn't going to look good in court with this Oliver Luck thing, because then they would, as like a character building portion.
Yeah.
Oliver Luck's attorneys would have brought in, well, listen, he did X, Y, and Z, so of course he would screw my client.
He's never looked good in court, though, ever.
No.
Anything, the steroid cases, anything. He did not look good in any court case he's ever had to.
That fucking, when he came in with the neck brace and the tiniest cup of coffee you've ever seen in his life held between two fingers, I was like, how did this guy not go to jail? He looks like a character. Like, that looks like something where you were in like a little fender bender and you wore a neck brace to court. So you're like, oh, my neck. I'm suing you because my neck hurts. And it was just like unbelievable. They bought it. They bought it.
Not Long Island's finest moment, I will admit.
No, but I mean, that's all we know of the situation right now. I have a feeling it's, unless more things come out that are.
Well, they did take away John Laurinaitis' responsibilities today.
John Laurinaitis has been replaced by Bruce Pritchard. I think that's what you call a lateral move. I don't know if it's a step up. It's really, it's just a lateral move because it's still Bruce. Bruce is still going to listen to Vince because John was going to listen to Vince. And Steph is still going to listen to Vince. Yeah. And apparently, when there were rumors that Triple H and Stephanie were having marital problems right after his Triple H's heart attack, another report came out to say that's not true. Steph and Hunter are like fine. They're together and they're like aligned, internally aligned, business wise, not just relationship wise. They both have the same vision for the direction of the company. So whatever that means. I
buy that, but I don't know if they're going to not listen to Daddy.
That's the thing. I think, Triple H might stray a bit, but I don't think Steph is.
We know he has a ton of brilliant ideas. Look at what he did to NXT.
Right. Because here's the thing. If you knew, in my mind, if they had thought that Vince McMahon was going to step down for sure, like 100% sure, they would have hired a new CEO from the outside, from like a sports team or a television network or something. And they would have said, this is the new, they're interim, but they may be permanent. By putting Stephanie in, it's the same as, it's the exact same, it's no different than having Vince in the big chair. It's just that it's Stephanie now, who we all thought got let go because she didn't perform well in her position as chief financial officer or brand manager or whatever the hell, brand officer, that's what it was, chief brand officer. We thought she did so poor of a job that they like let her take a sabbatical before she like left the company for good. Turns out she knew this was coming down the pipe and needed to take a little bit of vacation before coming back as the goddamn CEO. Like, can you imagine? You just get that call one day.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Steph.
I'm in a lot of fucking trouble. This is what you got to do. Yeah.
Remember that broad I had sex with a couple years ago? Ah, yeah.
Which one?
No, not that one. Not that one.
Not that one. Not that one.
No, the one whose salary I doubled. No, not that
Oh.
one.
Okay. Yes, Daddy, I remember.
So Johnny's being thrown under the bus then.
Pretty much.
What's that?
I want to be a fly on the wall of Kathy Laurinaitis right now. I swear.
John Laurinaitis is definitely like, they gotta. It's one of those things where, like, if you're the second in command to like Osama bin Laden or Saddam Hussein.
Oh shit!
You remember that they just took out that second guy. Second in command always got bombed. They just made a new one.
You did not just compare John Laurinaitis to Osama bin Laden's number 2.
During the war in Iraq, they would always go, the second-hand man to bin Laden was killed today. And then like a month later, they'd be like, the second-hand man. It's like they just keep replacing the guy. So once John's gone, it's Bruce. Once Bruce is gone, they'll probably put some other dummy in there. You know what I mean? It's just like going to be a long string of dummies all the way up the chain.
But with Stephanie in place, is this a good, is this a positive? Is this a good thing to keep things at bay, or
it looks good.
Listen, the other option is Nick Khan. So I'm good with Stephanie. Right.
Stephanie's a great option. It's a good optics thing. For all the complaints about WWE's programming in the past and the kind of the situation with women's wrestlers being treated weird and having weird segments like barking like a dog and all that shit. So like now there's a woman CEO. It's another it's the third generation of a man to be like, okay, well, this is like, he's the old generation and I'm the new, I'm more, enlightened. I'm more progressive than my old man. So it kind of sends that message.
Hunter might get power again.
Yeah. Maybe that was another thing we thought. I know it was the heart attack and all that kind of scaled back his duties, but already it sounded like he was losing power in NXT to almost having none. Maybe that was another thing where he knew something was coming down. So he wanted to take with his health, he wanted to take as much time off as possible before coming back in a bigger, not just NXT role. Like he's going to have to get bumped up to, if anything happens to Vince where he has to leave the company, Stephanie can't be the CEO and run creative for Raw and SmackDown. Like it'll be Heyman and Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
That'd be
beautiful. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be,
and that would work.
That'd be fine.
That can honestly work. It's a good, like I said, I to Eric's question, I think it's great for Stephanie. Like you said, for women, for wrestling, for everything. That's all great because the only woman that we can actually emulate is like Dixie Carter. God help me.
And Vince, did you see that thing I put about Stephanie apparently, and this has been known for a while, she doesn't get along with Kevin Dunn.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. There's a guy on Reddit who's like a WWE insider, and he posts like these cryptic posts every so often. And one of the posts that he made was the new CEO is already cleaning house internally. So
good.
And if Kevin Dunn is a casualty of that,
she has my vote to be CEO forever, because anything that gets rid of Kevin Dunn is a fucking good thing.
Yeah.
That guy needs to go. But she can do this. I think you're right. She would need both Pauls, Triple H and Paul Heyman and that stuff with the other stuff. But then she's got to stop listening to Daddy.
Well, that's
she
always
wants to
gonna
turn
be
this
the hard
around.
part. Like, and Tara says she'd be good with any of that, with like Kevin Dunn going, and I agree. Here or with the booking committee, like being upgraded, really would be upgraded. But
Yeah,
you're
that
right.
would be
There's a problem with Vince,
great.
even retired, will want to be in control. Johnny
Correct.
Carson, up until the point he died, was sending jokes to David Letterman, and Letterman would use them in his opening monologue. So he was, to that. Johnny Carson was so into what he did that he was still writing stuff and sending it in, and they were using it into his like 80s or whatever it was. So Vince is the same way. You think he's just going to sit at home and watch the stuff on TV and not like immediately send it to? I don't. Do you think he texts? Do you think he uses the audio speech to text thing? I don't know how does Vince McMahon communicate? Does his phone have a screen on it? Is it a jitterbug?
Like a Dick Tracy thing? Dick Tracy phone?
I'm imagining just
Now I'm
flips
thinking
open
of
and it just
Bob
has
because
9
that's all
numbers
Bob
on it.
does.
I could see him calling, actually. Like,
Yeah. That's
But now
what I
here's
mean.
the other question.
Texting, damn it, answer the phone.
But here's a question. Do we think Shane knew about this when this whole thing went down in January too? Because he just kind of just split.
I don't know,
Wasn't
because
he
that was.
forced out,
I
though?
feel like his thing was unrelated to this.
Yeah, I think it could have been. I mean, if there
It
were
could have been
rumblings,
both.
it could have
That's
been
true.
that he, once again, if you're like, I don't.
If you know Daddy's in trouble, why wouldn't he do his own booking?
But here's the other thing: if you find out that if you're Shane McMahon and once again you're passed over for a big position within the company for your younger sister.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon was a referee when he was 16 years old. Shane McMahon wanted to be a wrestler, and his dad said no. Shane wrote for the website, wrote for creative, was on TV, did all this stuff. It was speculated that Shane was the heir apparent of the family. And then all of a sudden, Stephanie grew up. And Stephanie's a lot like Vince. Stephanie's a lot more like Vince, and I think Shane's a lot more like Linda. And she came out as the front runner. And how could you not? That would be like, if when the queen, right before the queen died, she's like, Prince Charles, by the way, you stink. One of your sons is going to be the new king. Like, how would you feel? You would just be like, oh, shit, again? Like, I got passed over again?
Could be worse. The queen could give it to Camilla.
The first horse to be queen. So sorry. Yeah, but Shane could, if Shane heard that Vince might be stepping down and Stephanie would be stepping up, and then he goes, and what about Shane O'Mac? And they're like, oh yeah.
I feel like they put Marissa in that position over Shane.
At this point, because she's had so much more experience, obviously she's the de facto choice. And I think that if I were Shane, I would definitely feel some kind of way about that.
But with Stephanie, you get Triple H as well.
That's the other thing. Although Dana,
but Marissa Mazzolo has
I'm sorry.
several corporate companies and communications and internet stuff and everything. She's really savvy too. She's not.
Plus, she used to be a WWE personality.
Yeah,
she did. She used to host the Saturday morning show with Todd Pettengill. God, that come out so fast. Okay.
Oh, so yeah, we should address. Pop that one up, Steve.
Oh yeah,
that's what she said.
That's a good point. Very good, Tara.
So, Tara, speaking of Linda, I heard.
Do we have confirmation?
So
it's been years, apparently.
So according to what Dave Meltzer said earlier in the week when this story about the NDAs broke, was that I don't know how many years ago. I don't think he really gave a timeline, but he said, Vince and Linda have been quietly separated for several years. Vince lives in Connecticut. Linda lives in Florida. And the reason that they never got divorced is that if basically running as a Republican for political office, being a divorcee kind of, I guess, sends the wrong message. Being married, having a strong family.
What? That was their response?
That was one of the things that Linda thought of. She's like, if I'm a divorcee in a Republican race, I'm going against the family values of this long, how it looks better when you go.
How did that go for Donald Trump? But okay, never mind.
But what I was saying, so her story could be, I married my husband 50 years ago. We've got 2 kids and I've got so many grandkids. I was loyal to,
we built a small business that
Right.
turned into a big
We built a
business.
small business into a large corporation that's traded on the stock market. Like it all came together as part of that package. It was definitely something that Meltzer brought up as one of the reasons why they've never officially on paper split up, even though they're
She
split
put
up.
that all in her political campaign 6 years ago, and it didn't work then. She lost in Connecticut the last time she ran.
Maybe Vince will run this time.
Oh, geez, yeah. It's like, I heard you guys like people with sketchy backgrounds with women.
From what I read, I don't remember if it was Dave Meltzer or whatever, but it did happen while she was working in the White House. That's the one thing time frame wise they say happened.
Okay, so it would be.
So it would have been within the last 4 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where they're at. And I mean, are we surprised?
No, I'm surprised she lasted that long, honestly.
Right?
She lasted through the point where on television he was having can you imagine the affairs that he was having off screen?
Exactly.
If he had the balls to put them on screen, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? I would love to be in the pitch meeting.
Well,
I'm going to make out with this female.
I want to be there for the meeting where he said, well, Stephanie's pregnant. I'm the father. You know what I mean? Like, what? That's the story? That's the story? You're the father of your own grandchild? Gonna come out with fucking flippers instead of hands.
Flowers in the attic.
Flowers in the attic. Hope it ends like flowers for Algernon.
No, there's only one. There's only one hand, and that was Mark Henry and May Young's baby.
We're gonna have another hand.
Oh God.
We're gonna call him Vince McHand.
But, oh my God.
Oh my God.
But going back to Johnny, like if he's gone, like Bruce will be in that position, and then he's probably going to be temporary also.
I think if there's any, because here's the thing, the speculation was, if Vince steps down, maybe they'll just sell. But if Steph and Triple H are planning on sticking around, then there's really no reason to sell the company.
They're only going to sell if Nick Khan starts to run it.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And that's another optics thing where they purposely didn't put that guy in control in charge because I think they knew the fan response,
the wrath
and the
of
stock market
Khan
response would be like, oh, this shit's at the fire sale. Like he's immediately selling the company. He talks about it all the fucking time. But I see we have our lower third.
What did I was going to say, what did I miss? But by the time I came on, obviously
just that.
We were still
That's
talking
what
about
we've been talking
Vince.
about since you came on.
We've been talking about Vince's grapefruits for the last 27 minutes.
Yeah. Well, did you say like that? Like, because like I felt like when he came out on SmackDown and on Raw, it was kind of like what the fuck was that? But it was kind of like a power move. It was basically him saying, "I ain't going anywhere."
Yeah, it's that Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was hey, I'm here. My fans love me. This ain't. We're going to continue with this.
It's going to look real. If he has to step down, that's going to look real bad in hindsight.
Yeah.
That they let the guy on TV after all that, you know?
I said it for Friday, and I'll say it again last night. I get how he likes to pound his chest. He can do whatever the fuck he wants when he wants. I think it's a stupid move to let him be on television.
The hardcore WWE fans love it and thought it was a great idea, according to all the groups that I look. Before I come on the show, I go on Reddit a lot and I go on Facebook groups and I look through the comments. Overwhelmingly, if somebody's just a WWE fan and they like hate AEW, they love that Vince just has sex with people and pays them to shut up, and they love that he got away with it, and they're like, he's not going anywhere. What are you gonna do? He's Vince McMahon, he's untouchable. Like, it's a gross kind of like weird.
Never said all wrestling fans were intelligent,
right? But it's a very hardcore group. Everybody else, like if people who are wrestling fans and they watch any stuff other than WWE, aren't feeling that way, and then the world at large, if they even have heard about it, but if they read the Wall Street Journal or they listened to CNN or Fox News or whoever they were watching, it was reported on this week. It doesn't look good to an outsider. You know what I mean? Like WWE fans go, that's just Vince McMahon. But to the outside world of this new online activism where you can just start a hashtag and a tweet and then all of a sudden somebody loses their fucking job. It's just a different world we're in now. We don't. As more information comes out, the public response to this could be very interesting. All right, from Grandmaster again. If Vince is coming on TV, maybe the allegations are made worse by the media. They not be that bad. Hence why Vince can't seem to keep off TV. That is also very
That's
possible.
a good point.
Yeah.
He might just be saying this is nothing because he's a guy. Listen, he's had Jerry McDevitt as his attorney for the longest time. Jerry McDevitt's not a stupid guy. Jerry probably drew up the NDA himself. I think Vince thinks he has all his bases covered.
Yeah, I can guarantee McDevitt.
Well, because I guess
right,
technically
he wouldn't come out there, you know.
I guess technically they're still just allegations and nothing's been confirmed.
Right, and it's not like he's been indicted or officially formally charged with a crime. It's again, it's not a criminal legal thing. This is more of a did he violate a human resources?
Yeah,
you know, whatever.
Right.
In the end, it's going to blow over.
We'll just see what
This is going to take some time.
Right, I'm going to say it's not going to get resolved. We're not going to follow this up next week. We're going to follow this up in a month or two or whatever it is when, things come to light.
Yeah.
So listen, we've
he'll be out.
We've had some tragedies take place since the last time we gathered. We lost two historic WWE referees. Yeah. I mean, Dave Hebner, the Hebners, really. I remember the first time we found out that they were twins on Saturday night's main event when Hulk Hogan was facing the $1 Million Man or Andre, or they were all there. And ultimately Earl got paid off and Dave came out and got in his brother's face. It was a whole thing. But so Dave Hebner passed, and Tim White. And Tim White, it sucks, man.
He was a big part, not just by being a referee, but he was
Andre's handler.
Yeah, he was Andre's guy. He was Andre's handler. And according to Braun Strowman, made a post and said that Tim White, I guess, worked in some kind of capacity with him too, as his kind of like, for lack of a better term, his handler as well. And
that's pretty cool.
I guess it was just the guy that they put. He must have known how to help with travel accommodations and different things like that for somebody of that size.
And he was also instrumental in the APA with the bar.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because he had. I was just trying to think, and I think it was called his bar in Rhode Island was called the Leaky Tap.
Yep.
And I don't know how I still retain that information, but yeah, he had to retire because there was a Hell in a Cell and Chris Jericho threw him into the cage, and he tore his rotator cuff, and then he retired, and then he opened that he had that bar, the Leaky Tap in Rhode Island, and but I guess he was still working backstage in some capacity for WWE all these years later. So
and had this terrible WWE.com series where he's committing suicide every week.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
Lunchtime Suicide with Tim White, and then what's his name?
So terrible.
The skinny little guy was with him. Mr. White, that's not wise.
Oh, I'm trying to think of it, but
yeah, from Grandmaster R.I.P. Dave and Tim, the twin with Dave and back in the day was good.
Awesome.
The Bella's twin magic copied them. Boom, roasted. Yeah, I
he's not wrong.
I like this Grandmaster. You need to come around more often. Anything that knocks the Bella twins, I'm good.
Oh my god. Do you think, how weird is it in that household right now?
Yeah.
You think they're having family dinners with everybody?
Not at all.
I'm pretty sure there's a rule that they're not allowed to discuss it, and just leave it alone.
What the hell are Brie and Daniel supposed to discuss?
Watch, it was
anything else.
Were the Bellas.
Anything.
So here's the question: is their Legends episode going to get canceled now in 2 weeks?
Ooh.
I mean, didn't they just
listen? They're also
working on a Vince McMahon biopic. I wonder.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
I read something. AEW biographies.
I read something that they're considering canceling the autobiography over this.
Good.
Yeah.
And WWE just started an agreement with Dark Side of the Ring as well for the next season of Dark Side of the Ring. Who knows? I kind of don't like WWE being involved because even if
it's
I understand that they're going to donate
to their way.
Yeah,
precisely. It's going to look some kind of way
but
now.
The resources WWE has could make.
They have the tape libraries of so many.
Right, that is true too. Take the good with the bad, I guess.
So, I think we should move it along a little bit because we're getting up there, and I want to talk a little bit about SmackDown.
Okay.
I know it's going a little back, so it's hard to remember these things, but on SmackDown, we had the return of the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, against Riddle for the title, in which was a great match, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Great fucking match.
They made Riddle look great in that match.
Made him look awesome. And you know what? Roman made Riddle look awesome too, because he sold the shit out of him. I was very happy with the chemistry, the way the match went. Notice I thought of you, Vince. Clean finish. No outside interference, no fugaziness. Roman had a clean finish for the first time in over a year.
I was just gonna say the first time in like a year and a half or some shit. Yeah.
But it was clean and it was a great match, great finish. And then we get Brock fucking Lesnar. Brock fucking Lesnar. Let me tell you, I'm not okay with it. I'm not.
Oh,
I
no,
love Brock.
tell.
I love Brock, and I'm glad he's back. Cowboy Brock, loving it. Love it. Love that he's back. I do not want to see him and Roman again. I don't.
Not at all.
I don't. Unless you're going to ununify these fucking belts and give one back to Brock so we have a champion while you're taking the summer off, I'm good with that.
Brock should snap the title in half and take half of it like a friendship necklace or something.
Yeah.
What is this, a split custody?
Well, there's still two belts though.
Oh, there are. Yeah. So he should just take one and be like, "Come and get it," and like, I don't know.
Why are we doing Brock versus Roman at SummerSlam again?
And
why?
Also,
why? And Brock can't lose. There's no way Brock can lose again.
Brock has lost every match he's wrestled in like the last year and a half.
Why are we doing this? Why? I want a reason. Why are they putting Brock versus Roman again? Why? I don't get it.
Because Cody's injured, I guess. That's everybody's excuse. Well, Cody's injured. I'm like, what? First of all, how do you go? Your backup plan is Brock Lesnar, and your first plan is Cody Rhodes. Shouldn't your plan always be Brock Lesnar anyway because he's the big fucking guy? Anyway,
I don't remember. Was there funny business in the
SummerSlam match?
WrestleMania?
Hold on, you both asked questions at the same time. Eric.
Funny. This is at the match at WrestleMania. What do you mean?
Yeah,
I
forgot how that ended.
Clean win for Roman at WrestleMania? No,
it was a low blow.
It wasn't the clean. Okay,
correct. It was
it
not.
Should have been, or hopefully this needs to be. But again, like Steve said, Brock can't lose. They always do shit like this where nobody can afford. Well, it's not like Brock can't afford a loss. He could lose. Doesn't matter.
The last time Brock won a match was day one when you were at my house.
Yeah,
that was in January.
Brock's lost every singles match he wrestled in his last run, but won every multi-man match. Like
there's no one else. There's no one else. I mean, what the fuck? Bring Brock back and have him do something with somebody, but not this.
This is
I
not
don't
what
know.
we want when they say fight forever.
And you know what? I'm not saying that it's not going to be an outstanding match. I'm sure it's going to be
it's
great.
Not about
it's not about that. I just don't need to see it. I mean, we've realistically seen this match now, what, 5 times?
Yep.
At least. A bunch, yeah.
I mean, what the fuck?
But like 5 times in the last year. How many times did we see it in their last year?
And how different can it possibly be?
Right. Well, that's the other thing, too.
It doesn't really need to be different because, like, as much as there is a hardcore group of people like us around who are sick of this, the YouTube video got 4 million views overnight.
Yeah.
SmackDown.
Well, Brock still wrecked shit. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that?
The SmackDown ratings are up. The Raw ratings are up this week. It's the highest Raw's been since April. I think
because they wanted to see what Vince McMahon was going to show up because of all this shit. It had nothing to do with Brock Lesnar or anything like that.
Well, it couldn't be about Brock Lesnar because nobody knew Brock Lesnar. They didn't even leak that shit. I never heard a fucking thing about it.
But on Friday night, they knew because he released it that day that Vince McMahon was going to be on SmackDown that night. So then
That
now
was why
after
the
the
ratings-
Brock
yeah.
Lesnar return for Raw last night, they know they were going to talk about that. They know it's a unified championship. Maybe they thought Roman was going to show up last night too.
Right, Roman or Brock. Yeah.
Right. Because it can happen on either
I
channel.
saw. So Grandmaster says Roman and Brock again. At this rate, it'll be WrestleMania 87, Roman versus Brock in a wheelchair match. What's really funny about that is I actually saw a meme pretty similar to that on Facebook, and they were both like 85 years old, and it was
Yeah,
a
they had
matchup versus.
Oh,
And they were old, and dude,
Yeah.
it was fucking hilarious. But
sent it
I
to the
mean, it's
group
just,
once.
I just, there's got to be some, like, at this point, bring up some of the NXT kids or something, do
Right.
something. I don't know, man.
Anything.
I'm getting a little over it, but it is what it is. That's what we got. And that was pretty much the highlight of SmackDown, really. When you talk about Raw, obviously everybody tuned in to find out how the fuck they're pulling off the return of Elias.
Can I add one thing for SmackDown?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Isn't it remarkable how unremarkable Ronda Rousey's run has been?
It's just weird.
Did you
It's
say
not-
unremarkable or remarkable?
No, it's
Unremarkable.
remarkable how unremarkable the run has been.
Like it's amazing
Yeah, this
how
run
bad
is
it
not
it's
as spectacular as the
how
first one. Yeah.
We haven't talked about her.
People have been calling her out lately about like how her heart's not in it this time.
Yeah. Well, I think she was satisfied with what she did, and she kind of wrapped everything up at that big WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Anything past that,
I
it's
actually
not
think
gonna
she's
reach the
been
same
doing a good job putting over her opponents and selling. And I don't know. I don't have any complaints over this Ronda
But
run.
there's
The,
not
the
personally
Twitter, the
exciting
Twitter war
about
Magic's
it.
between
not
her and
there
Natty
like
though
it
is
was the
hilarious.
first time.
Well,
There-
the
she-
magic not being there is not necessarily her.
I agree. I'm just saying.
A lot of it is going to be the booking and the stories.
Yeah.
And I mean, now you got her and Natalia. Like, nobody gives a shit.
Nope,
That's part of the
exactly.
problem.
You know what?
You know what I
though?
mean?
Her and Natty.
Oh
are-
yeah, no, I'm not putting it on her. Trust me. I think for the little experience she has in professional wrestling, I think she's doing fantastic.
Yeah.
But it does seem to be, like you said, it's the booking, everything just doesn't seem to be meshing as well as it did
It's
for her
funny.
the first run.
It's funny because her and Natty have more chemistry on Twitter than they do, on stage
Natalia
together. You know.
cannot tell a story. I love her to death, but she is not good on the mic. And I don't know what the fuck happened to her face on Friday night, but just
But now she's talking about her hot sister. It's the OnlyFans thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronda's not wrong. Like, Natty clapped back at her, but like, Ronda's not wrong about the thing with her, her and her sister or whatever it is. Like, listen,
yeah.
that's fine. Listen, if you're, whatever you're into is cool. I'm not going to judge, but like, I don't know.
Well, like I said, their Twitter war is more entertaining than them on screen together.
Yeah, Natty's never been the most exciting. Like, she's a good wrestler. I don't think she's ever been the most exciting promo, which is like the Hart family curse.
They have to get the right feud. Like, I'll tell you right now, you know what people would get hyped to see and would put the umph back in Ronda. You know what the answer is? You put her in a feud with Baszler.
Yeah.
Have those
They're
two.
slowly
Have those
teasing
two. I know they're teasing it, and that's why I'm thinking of it. Like, that's what you do. You put those two in a marquee match.
Maybe
now
that's the
we're
SummerSlam
getting.
match.
It might be, but that's the way
Yeah,
you
I
go.
think that could be the SummerSlam match.
Who did you say? I'm sorry.
Shayna Baszler.
Oh, Shayna Baszler. Yeah, definitely.
100%. You put those two in a match, and you're going to get a mix of UFC, and you're going to get a mix of wrestling. I think it's going to be a great story to tell because Shayna can always come out and kind of be like, I was better than you in the UFC, and I'm better than you. There's all types of shit you can do. I think that's the way you go to make her exciting again.
I love
She's
it with
definitely
that,
better
or
than
even
Ronda
Rhea
as a wrestler.
Ripley.
What if you
Well-
give them the women's tag team the belts for a bit?
I mean, as of right now, those belts mean absolutely dick to me. They haven't meant
no, I'm
anything in a long
saying, like,
time. So.
They
They
haven't
haven't
even.
done anything with them. What the hell?
Yeah.
They announced
You
the
could do
segment
a
over a
woman
month ago. I
power
think they're
trip.
just.
I
done
think
with
they're
it.
going to slowly retire them. Honestly.
Yeah, they're done.
And then build a Mania match.
It would be
So-
a great idea, but that would mean somebody would have to give a shit. Like somebody internally would have to give a shit about those women's tag team
Yeah,
titles,
that's-
which it seems like they don't.
Nobody
So
does.
let me ask you guys a question. Did you walk with Elias? Because I did. I got to tell you, there's a lot of mixed reactions to how they did this whole thing. I thought it was fucking fabulous. I thought the beard, yes, the beard looked fake, but you know what, though? It was pretty fucking good considering. But you knew it was, of course, and you knew everything was pre-taped and they just knew where to try. Like, but it was done great. Here's what I will say, though. And I think I've kind of touched on this before. This whole thing wouldn't be as good as it is if it wasn't for Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens going mentally insane over this is the highlight of the entire thing. But Elias is doing a great job. Ezekiel's doing the way they pulled it off. I thought it was fucking great. I laughed my ass off.
But is Owens being, crazy over this? Is that the end game for this thing?
I mean, I don't know what the end game is, quite honestly, but all I know is watching Kevin Owens on the brink of insanity over this is amazing. I mean, the screaming, the yelling, the everything about it, dude. He's like, the shit he says, like, it's just fucking great. You go, like, you're lying. I just saw a fucking movie with a dinosaur flying an airplane. This is, like, it's just everything he says is fucking gold. It was fantastic.
Oh, you know what I loved? A few weeks ago on SmackDown when Owens was talking with Sami Zayn and Sami said, they're two different people. And then he gave him like this hug. It was the funniest thing.
You're right, though. The resolution of this is a mystery because the reveal that they're two different people just happened. So that can't be the end of it. So the reveal either has to be that it was one guy all along. Just
is it really though? Is it? That's not really a reveal. Like he needs to challenge them to a tag team match.
Right. I guess you would need to have two of them out there. Aaron Rex, formerly Damian Sandow, posted on Twitter before the show. He's like, "I will not be on USA Network tonight, just so you know."
That's funny.
He thought,
he must have been flattered though that fucking people were begging for him to be.
Well, because last week he retired. He had a retirement match on the NWA pay-per-view, and then WWE's teasing that this guy's going to come in, and they're like, "Oh." People put two and two together. They go, maybe this,
Well, look, people come up with memes like instantly.
Oh yeah, well, like the no, it was Liv. Was it Liv Morgan was Sister Abigail for like 2 years? People were like, well, they just make Liv Morgan Sister Abigail, and then it turned out to be like Alexa, but not really. But
Grandmaster, I agree with this guy 100%. So
Absolutely.
fucking Kevin Owens is so underrated. He's hilarious, serious at the same time, 100%. He's just absolutely gold in everything that he says and does. I'm glad he signed to stay on because he's just great.
Because he's taking it. He's taking. The funny thing is that it's a stupid, silly situation that he is taking super seriously.
Yeah,
which is making it great.
Right. The more serious and upset he acts,
the better it is.
The better the whole thing.
Right,
is.
and then like the whole thing with Chris Jericho. As much as we love Chris Jericho, you got to give Kevin Owens the credit for that whole angle too.
Oh, that was two guys, fantastically talented people putting together a program. Like, they told the whole story. There were promo segments and like the Festival of Friendship thing. And then I loved that match. I was there live. That match was awesome and got a good reaction. Really, kids hated it, which is like
so. I want to touch on something because we're getting close to the top.
Yeah.
I want to bring this up because we're touching on Raw. What else bothers me, and I'm sure the entire panel here is going to agree.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this great thing going with Judgment Day. You fuck it up by kicking Edge out, turning him face, injuring him, putting him off TV, having Finn take over, blah, 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 right? So you fuck that up. Now, out of nowhere, Rhea Ripley apparently is not medically cleared. She's going to be out, and she's not going to be able to wrestle at the pay-per-view. So they decide Carmella's going to be the one to put the asses in the seats against Bianca Belair. With all the women that were in that match, Carmella is who we decided is going to be the one to draw.
Carmella Mania is running wild, brother.
What the fuck?
That's what happens when you marry a ring announcer.
What?
He doesn't have fucking stroke.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. It just like you had such great talent in that ring, and I'm not to say that Carmella's not good at what she does, but when it comes to wrestling, she definitely is not the strongest out of all the women that were in that ring.
No, and I'm not saying that Corey has that stroke, but you keep Corey happy at ringside. Keep Corey happy at ringside. You got to keep Carmella happy in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know.
They usually fuck with the couples and split them up and put on different brands and stuff. This is different,
that's true.
You know?
They haven't done that in a while.
But how many times has it been? The last time that somebody was a commentator and there was a wrestler, it was Jerry Lawler and Stacey the Cat.
I was just thinking.
I was going to say Renee Young with the Dean Ambrose thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they get married? Okay, point to take it. Look how well that turned out.
They did split them up too. Like they split them up on the brands, and it still ended up working out for them. But yeah, I don't know. I think elevating Carmella is just they try it every year or so.
But
you know
this
what I mean?
one,
like every so
the
often,
difference
it's
is
like,
this one is clearly a throwaway.
Yeah, but I mean, even
it's a placeholder.
Yeah, it definitely is, because you know that she's not going to win. But also, then you think to like when she cashed in the Money in the Bank on Charlotte all those years ago and won the women's title, and then she started wearing those cat suits and shit, and it was like nobody could fucking beat her. She was awful, and nobody could beat her. You know what I mean? So like, I think they do this with her every so often. They like turn up her power level. They're like, she's going to be like a big player now, and it's like,
here's the other thing too, though. You have to think about like how stonewalled the Judgment Day is now. They even lost their segment on the show because of Rhea being out. So now what? Grandmaster, I don't think Corey has any stroke backstage. I think Carmella won just so Bianca could beat some loser quickly as the main attraction or in the Money in the Bank matches. I don't agree with it, but just my opinion. Grandmaster, we said the same thing. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's
Fair opinion.
Because then you're thinking, oh well.
I like this guy. We're always on the same page.
Right. But honestly, I mean, it's not far off. Where like sometimes at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, there will be a weaker challenger because then like the champ will win, but then somebody jumps the champion or does whatever, and then it sets up an immediate cash-in situation. Whether it's the champ is knocked out and it takes just a finisher to get them, or if it's they just wrestled a long match and then got hit with a chair, they're still got to get up and wrestle another like 3 or 5 minutes with this person.
They've also done that at Royal Rumbles where, like, remember fucking Hardcore Holly had a championship match with Brock Lesnar back.
There was no chance
the Royal Rumble
at all.
That at least had a decent story to it.
What that Brock was mad at Bob Holly and fucking powerbombed so hard he broke his neck.
Yeah, at least there was something instead of Hardcore Holly getting a WWE title shot.
Yeah, Hardcore Holly comes back. He broke my neck. I'm gonna beat his ass. It's like, no, you're not.
No, Vince is sitting there laughing and back. Nope.
Well, that was the best Bob Holly story. It was like they asked him like, all right, so what do you want to do with your character? He's like, put the title on me. They're like, and then what? He goes, then I beat everybody. All right. Shit. It worked for Roman Reigns. Why can't it work for Bob Holly?
I feel like that could have worked in like the ECW brand when he was on that. Like he got that big gash on his back.
Yeah. And that was a good match, him and Rob Van Dam before that injury happened.
That was funny. So we have just a few minutes left. The last thing I really wanted to get to, the fuck was it? I had something too. The train has left the station, folks.
Well, we could always find out who gets the Diva belt this year if Brian wants to, since we're here.
Oh, I remember.
Forget it.
Yeah, we'll do it next week when we.
It sounds like it is confirmed. That Sasha Banks is gone officially from the WWE.
Oh yeah, so God, I forget the guy's name who reported it initially a couple days
Raj
ago.
something.
Yeah, Raj Giri, I think it was. So Raj reported it.
And he's usually pretty accurate too.
He staked his reputation on breaking the story. Other people have come out and said it's maybe not officially done, but that the attorneys got involved maybe a month or so ago, and we're trying to work it out, and that it seems like we're at if the ink isn't dry, it's very close to being made official, and then Sasha will be. I don't know. So here's the thing. I don't want to say she's going to be a free agent because is she immediately a free agent? Did they settle for a 30-day or a 90-day non-compete clause? Would she be able
Whether
to
it's 30 days or it's 90 days, Mercedes is going to be all elite.
I think she's also going to go to Japan. Like that's the other. I think.
See, I don't. I think she's going right to AEW because it's going to be so fucking hot. You know what I mean? Like
I think she
the matches, like she shows up, it's a game changer for the women's division over there.
100%.
Because you're gonna have Sasha Britt Baker, Sasha Thunder Rosa. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, it's gonna be like
in those 30 or 90 days, she can go to Japan. I mean, what are they gonna do? Say you can't appear in Japan where the contract does the contract in the United States work contract cross overseas borders like that? I mean,
that's a very good question. That's a very good question.
I think she can just show up on like those things. She'll probably work some independent dates. I know she'll definitely, if she's no longer with the company, she's going to go through the East Coast because she was a Massachusetts, she was at Killer's School. Well, I don't know if it was Killer's School at the time. Now it's Brian Fury's school. But like the NEPWA, the New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Well, and she's best friends with Sherman, who's affiliated with Northeast Wrestling. I don't know if he's still working with them, but
and I think she would come through like Beyond Wrestling. She would probably work Northeast Wrestling. She'd probably any of those companies that are kind of like tangentially affiliated with the school that Brian Fury now owns up in Massachusetts.
Does Snoop do a new entrance for her?
Oh man, that would be great.
Like, does Vince own the music? He didn't own the Hardy Boy music. Maybe she can take the music with her.
I don't know, because I mean, Cody owned his own music.
But does this mean there's going to be two Mercedes in AEW?
Well, that's the other thing. There's Mercedes Martinez. I wonder.
Listen, they can just call Sasha. They can just call her the boss.
Mercedes Martinez and Mercedes KV, which was Mercedes K Vernado, that's Sasha's wrestling name, Mercedes KV. They both wrestled, like Martinez is from Waterbury, and Mercedes KV is from Massachusetts. So like they wrestled in the same areas. Listen, they get you got more than one guy named Adam. I don't know.
Right, that's true.
But you could just call her the boss. I think if they did some kind of play on it, like she's Bossy Banks, or she's like somebody said Mercedes Banks would be a good one, or instead of Mercedes.
All I know is wherever she shows up, if it's AEW, it better not leak. It better be a blockbuster fucking out of nowhere surprise.
It's a game changer for that women's division,
dude.
It opens it up to the possibilities, all the new matches that are opened up to you once a Sasha Banks comes in. Even with the talent you already have, like Sasha Banks and Penelope Ford, Sasha Banks and Chris Statlander. Sasha Banks and Yuka Sakazaki or Riho, like doing, wrestling the Japanese style. I think any of those options, and of course Britt Baker, because she's,
Tay Conti.
I want Tay.
Jade Cargill.
Jade Cargill is
versus Sasha Banks. Oh man,
Jade Cargill.
She's becoming a player.
She just needs a little more time.
She's getting there though. She's
brewing,
come a long way.
I mean?
She's going to be a star.
Oh yeah.
Well, on that note, time flew and we're at the top of the hour, folks.
Yes, sir.
What if I'll save that for next week.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, we'll save if you've compiled all the scores for this season's.
No, I was thinking somebody else could debut with Sasha.
Somebody else could debut with Sasha.
Yeah.
Who?
Paige.
Oh yeah, because Paige is free now. Paige is appearing as Starcast.
Oh, holy shit!
Hey, remember I said something about a women's NWO?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That could be it, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Those two coming in again would be either of them would be coming and be game changers. Especially
Sasha would be the Ric Flair. Sasha would be the Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And Paige would be the enforcer. And then whoever else they pick up, but we'll save that for next week.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So there's a lot to, as we go on, because maybe, like we said, it's not official. They haven't put out any statements. Like WWE or Sasha Banks neither have put out a statement that anything's happened. So we'll see. More to it on that. More to it on the McMahon investigation. More to our road to the biggest party of the SummerSlam. Our Brock versus Money in the Bank, I guess, before SummerSlam, right? We got our Brock and Reigns deal. We'll see more of that evolve as the week goes on. Yeah, we're gonna hear more about that, and of course, this weekend coming up is AEW's Forbidden Door pay-per-view. I'll let if anybody watches that, we can we'll talk about that as well. I know I'll be watching, that's about it. We'll wrap things up here. I'm actually going to be hopping on a podcast called Thunder Buddies right after this. We're going to watch a live streaming. We're going to watch an episode of WCW Thunder from back in the 90s.
Oh, nice.
And talk about it.
I love
very cool.
That's on.
Thank God you reiterated what you were doing, because
it's not about the movie Ted. The movie with the bear.
Thank God you at least explained yourself a little bit there.
Yes. So Thunder Buddies is another podcast. One of the guys, Papa Bear, Rad Dad Radley Belmont from those Stepdads, runs a podcast. I saw him over the weekend at the 2TW show. Thank you everybody for coming. There was like 100 people there. Awesome. So that's that. I'll be on my thing next, with the Thunder Buddies, and then we'll be back next week. Guess what? Another edition of the War Report live, 6 p.m. on Eastern time. We go from 6 to 7, and you can find us streaming on YouTube. We stream on Facebook. We stream on Twitch. We stream on Twitter and Periscope. You just look for either Tag Me a Date at TagMeADate, or you can look for the War Report just in general. Either one, as long as you see one or both of those on there, it should be us. Follow us on social media at TagMeADate. That's TagMeADate. No spaces, all one word. And that's for most accounts. The at TagMeADate is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, all those. And then the Twitch is twitch.tv/War Report. And that's all one word as well. War Report for Twitch. And YouTube is Tag Me a Date. You can subscribe. You can hit the bell. It'll let you know when we go live or when we upload a video. Most of our archive is on that YouTube page. You can also listen to an audio version of the podcast if you prefer, rather than the video version, or rather than sitting there on Tuesday at 6 p.m. If you want to listen to it afterward, within the hour of the show going off the air, the MP3 version gets uploaded to the podcast app of your choice. Just give us a search on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. Search for Tag Me a Date or The War Report. If you look for The War Report, there are 2 different podcasts called The War Report. They both talk about pro wrestling, but our graphic, when you look at the actual image and when you look at the description, should say Tag Me a Date in there somewhere as well, so you know that it's us. And that's about it. Just make sure to spread the word. Thank you to our new viewers and our new live streamers. Thank you to Grandmaster for throwing some comments in. Tara, thank you for being in the chat, as you always are. She's been one of our biggest chat supporters and podcast supporters the last year or so, maybe even more. So thank you for dropping in there, Tara. And tell your friends, spread the word. If you like the podcast, share a link with everybody. Let them know that we do this every week. Tuesday, 6 p.m. on Eastern time. So we'll be back again next Tuesday with another edition. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We will see you later.